It's Miss Lee again, and this is our second video on writing equations from tables. In our first video, we learned how to write one-step linear equations from tables. And in this video, we're going to learn how to write two-step equations from tables. So go ahead and take a look at this table and see if you can write an equation that represents the linear relationship. Were you able to do it? Let's see. I know I'm getting larger because I'm going from the input to the output, so I could add 4. But when I add 4 to 2, it gives me a 6, not an 8. So addition doesn't work. So let's try the multiplication. I can multiply 1 times 5 to give me 5, but when I multiply 2 times 5, I get 10, not 8. So that doesn't work, does it? That's because this is a two-step linear relationship where you're going to have both multiplication and addition. Okay, these are the steps. Let me close those up. Okay, the first step is you're going to find what we call the rate of change. This identifies how the y values change when the x values change by 1. This is also the coefficient of the x variable, and also called the constant of proportionality. All right, so we have a little abbreviation to find the rate of change. And this triangle is called a delta. And it's delta y over delta x. This means the change in y over the change in x. Okay, this is how you find the rate of change. And whatever this value ends up being is your coefficient to the x variable. It's what you're multiplying or dividing the x variable by. And another term, which is used in 7th grade, is called the constant of proportionality. Once you find that rate of change, then all you have to do is determine if any additional amount needs to be added or subtracted to get the correct y value in the table. And this is the constant. That is that amount that you're adding or subtracting to the x. And the third step, you're going to use the rate of change and the constant value to write an equation for the relationship between x and y. And the equation that you're going to write will be in the form of y equals kx plus b. So with the one step, we had where it was just y equals kx or y equals x plus b. But now we're combining the two together into a two-step equation. And the best way to learn this is just to practice. So here we go. We have our x and our y, our input-output table. And the first thing we want to do is find the change in y over the change in x. Now, be very careful. It's very easy to do x first because you're used to x coming first. It comes first in the alphabet. It comes first in the ordered pair. It's the independent, the input, the number you need to know. But when you find the rate of change, it's the opposite. We have to find the change in y first. So all you have to do is go from 5 to 8. What is the change? We're increasing. We're increasing by a positive 3. And signs are very important, especially when they're negative. So the change in y is 3, positive 3, or just 3. Now what is the change in x? Well, we're going from 1 to 2. We're increasing by 1. So the change in x is 1. And 3 to 1, 3 over 1, simplifies to 3. So our rate of change is 3. This is the coefficient to x. So we know we're going to multiply x by 3. So now let's come back. When I do 1 times 3, and I'm going to change colors here. When I multiply 1 times 3, that gives me a 3, but I need a 5. So we need to think, what can we add or subtract to make a 5? Well, I can add 2. 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 gives me 5. Let's see if it works over here with the 2. If I do 2 times 3, that gives me 6. And then when I add 2, that gives me 8. So that works. Let me do this one. If I do 4 times 3, I get 12. Plus 2 gives me 14. So that works. So after we multiply x by 3, we then need to add 2. This is our rule, our expression. And then to write our equation, we just put a y equals in front of our expression. Y equals 3x plus 2. To get our output value, we first multiply the x by 3, and then we add 2. It's pretty simple, isn't it? Okay, let's try another one. Uh-oh, we've got some negatives here. All right, first thing you need to do is find the rate of change, the change in y over the change in x. So my change in y, I'm going to go from -3 to -1. It's increasing, right? So I know I'm going to be adding. How much is it increasing by? Well, it's increasing by 2. If you need to, pull out the number line. Here's your -3. You want to go from -3 to -1. So we're adding 1 and we're adding 2. So we're increasing by 2. So the change in y is a positive 2. And what is our change in x? We're going from -2 to -1. We're increasing again, so it's a positive, and we're increasing by 1. So our rate of change is 2 over 1, which simplifies to 2. This is our coefficient to x. We're going to multiply x by 2. I'm going to change colors, and let's do some math. If I multiply -2 times 2, that gives me a -4. But I want to get -3. So what am I going to do to -4 to make the -3? I'm going to add 1. So -2 times 2 is a -4, plus 1. If you have -4 and you're adding 1, the signs are different, right? So you have to subtract. You get 3. There are more negatives, so it's -3. Let's see if it works with a -1. -1 times 2, a negative times a positive is a -2. And what do I get when I add a positive 1? We get a -1. 0 times -2 is 0. And when I add 1, I get positive 1. So this is the correct expression. So the rule is going to be 2x plus 1. And to write the equation, we just put a y in front of it. Y equals 2x plus 1. Okay, we have a couple more problems for you to try. If you think you're ready to do it on your own, go ahead and pause the video, come back, check your answer. If you're not quite ready, that's okay. Keep working with me. Okay, change in y. Here's our y. We're going from 7 to 15. We're increasing. So we're adding by 8. And my change in x, I'm increasing 1 to 3, so I'm adding by 2. So my rate of change is going to be at 8 over 2. And that simplifies to 4. So this is my multiplier, my coefficient to x. So I'm going to multiply x by 4. So when I multiply x by 4, 1 times 4 gives me 4, but I need a 7. So I know I can add 3 to make 7. Let's see if it works with the 4. 4 times 4 is 16, and when I add 3, do I get 19? I do. So that's my rule. 4x plus 3. That's our expression. And to write our equation, all you have to do is go and put a y equals in front of it. So our equation is y equals 4x plus 3. Okay, ready or not, I want you to try the next one on your own. Pause the video, come back, and you can check your answer. Okay, let's see how you did. For your equation, did you get y equals -12x minus 1? Let's see. Hopefully you did. If not, let's see what we're missing. First of all, the rate of change was -12. If you're going to go from -1 to -13, you're getting smaller. So you're decreasing, so it's going to be a negative. And you're just adding a -12. When you go from 0 to 1, you're increasing by 1. So the rate of change, the change in y is -12 over the change in x, which is a positive 1. You simplify, a negative divided by a positive is a -12. When you multiply 0 times -12, you get a 0, but you need -1. So you need to subtract 1 from 0 to make -1, don't you? Again, if you need to draw a number line, draw a number line. And if you check it, if I come over here and I say, okay, 2 times -12, that's -24. right? Negative 24. And then if I add a negative 1, which is same as subtracting 1, plus negative 1, the signs are the same, so you add them up and you keep the sign, negative 25. So the equation was y equals negative 12x minus 1. If you were confused on any of this, go back, review the video, because now you are ready for your independent practice. Okay, so you're going to pause the video, solve this on your own. You're going to write the equation. When you have your answer, come back and check it. Okay, problem number 1, you should have gotten the equation y equals 3x plus 2. This 3 is your rate of change. When you did your change in y over the change in x, it would have simplified to 3. This 2 plus 2, this is the amount that you needed to add after multiplying by 3. So if I did 2 times 3, I would have gotten 6, and then I needed to add 2 to make the 8. All right, try problem 2. Pause the video. When you have your answer, come back and check. Did you get y equals 1/2 x minus 2? You could have also written this as y equals x divided by 2 minus 2. Either way would work. When you divide by 2, that's the same as multiplying by 1/2. You're taking half of x. All right, so this half of x, you're taking half, or you're dividing x by 2. That's why this is your coefficient. This is your rate of change. If I'm going to go from negative 2 to negative 1, I'm increasing by 1. But when I go from 0 to 2, I'm increasing by 2. So my rate of change, the change in y over the change in x, is going to be 1 over 2, 1/2. And then the minus 2 is the additional amount that we needed to add. So when I multiplied 0 by 1/2, or when I divided 0 by 2, whichever way you look at it, I get 0. Then I needed to add a negative 2 to make the negative 2. Come back over here. What's half of 4? Well, it's 2. 2 minus 2 is 0, so that checks out. Half of 8 is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. That checks out. All right, nice job, Bobcats.